What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Half Chrome, and today I want to talk about alternatives to DJI. Now, DJI is the leader in drones, and they own somewhere between 75 and 90% of the consumer market, depending on where you do your research. But anyway, there are some good alternatives to DJI drones. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about alternatives to the different DJI options at various different price points. Now, you may be thinking, why do I care? Well, there are a lot of different reasons why you may want to avoid a DJI drone. They popped up on different banned lists here in the United States. Plus, they all have geofencing, which means you aren't able to fly in certain locations, even when it's safe. It's an old airport or things like that where it just hasn't been updated in the database, and that's really frustrating. So there are different reasons why people want to avoid DJI, and we thought we'd put out some different alternatives so you can kind of think about it. Plus, maybe you're just rooting for the underdog. You don't want to buy the big name brand product that everyone else has. You want something different. Here are 10 different options for you. This drone right here is the Cfly Faith Mini, and it's less than $200 right now. Actually, it's $165 on special. DJI does not make a drone for less than like $340, and that's their Mini 2 SE. The Cfly Faith Mini here at $165 is a pretty solid option. Has a 26-minute flight time, a 3,000 meter range. Kind of has a 4K camera, but the 4K footage isn't great because it's 15 frames a second, but it will shoot 2.7K at 25 frames a second, and that's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good, especially for a drone less than $200. It is less than 250 grams, and that is an important number. That means you don't have to register with the FAA, and it does not need remote ID. It has a handful of intelligent flight modes. Now, no, it's not a professional tool, but this Cfly Faith Mini, a really good beginner drone for less than $200. Now, as you watch this video, if you're thinking, I'd like to order one of those drones, we'll have links down below. They're affiliate links. They don't cost you a thing, but they do help support this channel. And we always try to find the best prices for you. So make sure you check that out if you want to buy one of these drones. Now, if you can stretch your budget to $250, that's the Cfly Faith Mini 2, and it has a better camera, a longer range, and a longer flight time. This is a better drone. Still not professional grade, but it's also less than 250 grams, so you don't have to register this one with the FAA either. Now, the range is 5,000 meters or a little over 3 miles, and it does have a 32-minute flight time. So definite improvements. This one will actually also shoot real 4K at 30 frames a second, or you could do HD 1080p at 60 frames a second. Like the Mini 1, it has a handful of different intelligent flight modes, so you can kind of pre-program things as you want to. Checking in under $250, this is a pretty darn good deal, and there really isn't anything in the DJI price range that competes with this. Again, the Mini 2 SE, about $340, superior to this guy, but definitely more expensive. Now, if you can stretch your budget to about $300, that's when the options really start to open up for you. I really like the Potensic Atom. It has a 3-axis gimbal 4K camera. It's a step above the Cfly Faith Mini 2. It's also less than 250 grams, so again, you don't have to register with the FAA. It has a 6,000 meter range, that's roughly 4 miles, and a flight time of 32 minutes. It has a good 4K camera, and again, a handful of intelligent flight modes. It doesn't do a visual follow me very well, but the other intelligent flight modes work just fine. But my favorite option for less than $300 is this. This is the Xiaomi Fimi X8 Mini version 2. That's a handful, but yes, the version 2 is incredibly important because it's much better than the version 1. A flight time of 31 or 37 minutes, depending on which battery you choose. The larger battery puts this thing just over 250 grams. The smaller battery will keep you under 250 grams, which again, an important number. This tiny little guy has a 9,000 meter range. That's like 5.5 miles. It's got a bunch of intelligent flight modes. The follow me works well. I really am a big fan of this Xiaomi Fimi Mini. This is absolutely the best drone you can get for less than $300. Definitely something to consider if you're thinking about one of the DJI Mini drones. I think this one is probably a better bang for your buck, so you may want to consider it. So DJI also has some FPV drones, right? They have the FPV drone as well as the Avata, and they're working on something to release soon. Now, if you're thinking, well, I just want it to be easy, and I've heard FPV can be a hassle, which it can, you're gonna want a ready-to-fly combo kit, and Emax makes a couple of my favorites. These are some Tinyhawk 3 drones. I've got the Tinyhawk 3 Plus and the Tinyhawk 3 Plus Freestyle here. You get the drone, you get the goggles, you get the remote, you get the battery, the charger, and even a carrying case if you opt for the smaller one here. And these are great ways to learn FPV. Some people will tell you the Avata and the DJI FPV drone aren't real FPV drones. Now I think they are. The Avata may be one of my favorite drones to fly, but there is something different about using one of these, throwing it into acro and getting after it. I really like this ducted drone for flying indoors, and if you want to fly outside and do a little bit more acro and freestyle flying, this freestyle drone is the one to get. Two really good options. Now they come in either analog, which isn't the best video feed, and the all-in-one kits are just under $300 for analog, or you can get HD0, which is an HD video feed, and those are going to cost just under $500. But two solid options if you're thinking about getting into FPV. Now this next drone is definitely different and something you may want to consider if you just want something small and compact. You want to take with you on trips. You just want to pull a drone out of your pocket and fly. That is the Hover X1, and I had a ton of fun using this little pocket drone. It unfolds and you don't need a remote to fly this. You just push a button and it does one of these pre-programmed flight modes. Now you can fly it with your phone if you so choose, but this thing is so small and compact and lightweight and easy to bring with you anywhere you go that it really does make a really good companion drone. Plus, its follow me feature is really pretty impressive. I had a lot of fun with this drone and definitely something I would recommend. Now it isn't a camera drone in the truest of sense, and the camera quality again isn't professional, but it is pretty darn good and something you may want to consider. It's about $350. The camera is either 2.7K or 1080p. There's an HDR version, there's a high frame rate option, but this thing is a lot of fun to fly. Again, different than most drones, right? The range is roughly 20 meters. You want to keep it close to you. It's basically a selfie drone. In the flight time, you're getting about 10 minutes or so per battery. Not the longest flight time, but again, this is just for take it out, launch it, take some pictures and video, put it back in your pocket. Okay, the next drone I'm going to mention here is my absolute favorite non-DJI drone. It's the Skydio 2, but the problem is you can't get it from Skydio as a consumer anymore. It's only available as an enterprise drone, and it's like $3,000. That's a shame, right? Because this thing is fantastic. It is great for action sports and following and tracking. It's so good. It's a shame that you can't buy it anymore. So if you can find one of these secondhand, awesome thing. So now we're going to talk about more of the professional or semi-professional grade drones that are available to you. These smaller ones, they're great, but again, there's just a whole nother class of drones that DJI makes. We're going to get into some of those competitors now. This one here is the EXO Blackhawk 3 Pro, and yes, it's made by Hubsan. EXO does the North American drones. Hubsan releases drones in Europe and Asia. It is an alternative to DJI. Now, the camera on this, it's a 4K camera. It does have obstacle avoidance in the front and back. It has a 53-minute flight time. This battery is gigantic. It also has remote ID. It is a solid option. It is a little expensive, I think, right? So this one here is just under $1,000, and that's kind of a shame because I feel like it's overpriced a bit for what you're getting. It's not going to be quite as refined as DJI, but the camera is good. The quality coming out of this drone is good. It is a solid option. Tiny bit overpriced, but unfortunately, that's just what you get. It is a pretty impressive drone. You get all the intelligent flight modes that you're looking for, and a pretty solid 4K camera. But in reality, the best competitor to DJI is Autel, and Autel makes basically 3 drones that you may want to consider. There is the Nano, that is their small mini version drone, the one that is less than 250 grams, and there's the Nano and the Nano Plus. The Plus version of all their drones is the better version of all of their drones. So that one is pretty solid. I'd probably, honestly, with the mini drones, I think the Fimi or one of the Cflys, still a better bang for your buck. Yes, the Autel Mini is better, or the Nano, as they call it, is a better drone, but it's fairly high priced, so something you have to consider. There's also the Lite and the Lite Plus series from Autel, and that's kind of like their Air series drone, or compared to the Air series drones from DJI, and those are pretty good. Again, the Plus version is the one that you'd want, but I think the best Autel drone is actually the Evo 2 Pro. That's the one with the 6K camera, version 3 now. That is an awesome professional grade drone. Now it's expensive. It's somewhere between $1,600 and $2,500 depending on which package you get. It has a 40-minute flight time and a 15,000 meter range. That's like 9 miles. It does have a 1-inch sensor, so it's going to do pretty darn well in low light situations. That's really where the smaller drones struggle, but the Autel Evo 2 absolutely can handle it with that 1-inch sensor. You get the intelligent flight modes, the active track, the waypoints. There's so much going on for this Autel Evo. Definitely something you may want to consider. They're a little bit harder to get your hands on these days, but they are still available. You may be thinking, Jack, these drones are really expensive. Is there any other options? Yeah, there are plenty of less expensive options, but I really wanted to cover the drones that I think actually can compete with some of the DJI drones, and I think the drones that are under $200 or under $100 generally don't. If you're interested in buying any of these drones, make sure you check the link down below. We try to find the lowest prices, their affiliate links, and they help support this channel. But if your budget is less than $100, I also have a video, what is the best drone under $100? Check the link down below for that. I have a video on the best drone under $200, under $300, and a lot of those drones are not made by DJI. Now again, the quality is going to be different on those drones, especially with the camera, but if that's not something you're really worried about, you might want to check that out, link down below. Anyway, is there a drone that I missed that should be on this list that isn't? Let me know. I try to avoid drones that aren't in production anymore, like the Anafi. I really like that drone. It's awesome, but it's not something that I would recommend right now. But if you can think of something, let me know. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If it was, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. We'd love to have you back. We do lots of drone reviews, camera reviews, comparisons. We do a fair number of e-bikes and other electronic things as well. So if that's your jam, make sure you're coming back. Also, if you're thinking about going pro with your drone, you need a Part 107 license. We got lots of tips and tricks for you on that as well. Plus, a whole set of curriculum for our Patreons. Good luck and happy flying.